Welcome to the My Worst Day episode number 5 with Charlie Mitchell. Say hi, Charlie.
What's going on, folks? Good to be here with you, Mike.
It's always good to be with you, my friend. As you guys know, my worst days are for the purpose of encouraging, inspiring, and even equipping you because everybody is going to have one or multiple worst days. And we want you to know you're not alone and there's always help for you. You can make it through your worst days.
That's right.
So today we got Charlie Mitchell. And so, Charlie, tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you were born and how old you are and what you're doing right now and maybe one fun fact. That nobody
All right,
knows.
so very interesting. I'm a Florida native. I was actually born in Key West. One of the very few people born in Key West. Lived all over Florida, and I'm now 40. Married, 19 years, 3 kids. I live here in Baltimore now, which is where you and I met a number of
Yep.
years ago. And I am actually in the process of building a coaching hub for Christian marketplace leaders. It's called Maroon House. And so I work with some pastors and some building out some courses and master classes for some Christians that are just trying to think broader about how they live their life and all of that. So that's currently what I'm working on and dreaming about. So, I think the big, you said the
Fun fact.
fun fact about me personally.
Yep.
Goodness. Oh, I guess I went to art school in high school.
What did you do in art school, though?
So I was a visual artist.
Ah,
So yeah, painting, drawing. Drawing was my big thing, but yeah, painting, all visual arts was my emphasis.
well, we all know what your worst day is already, so we could just end this podcast because you said you were born in Key West and now you live in Baltimore. So grace and peace, everybody. We already know what his worst day is. Pray for him. And I don't know that God's even going to answer those prayers because he's like, "Why? I put you right in paradise."
That's right. That's right.
No, Baltimore is a great city and it's got great people like you and so many others there. So tell us about your worst day.
Yeah, we've got several to choose from, but the one that comes to mind, I think, is probably the one that was more recent. Um, it was literally by within a few weeks of us moving here to Baltimore, and so I woke up one day. We were probably 3 weeks into being here in town. Our house is still full of boxes, and I go downstairs into the basement early in the morning. It's probably mid-January. And I go downstairs in the basement, take a leak. You know how you do when you wake up in the morning, you wake up and take a leak. And I had visible blood in my urine. And so I didn't feel any pain. So, you know how guys can be like, you're just kind of crossing your fingers like, I hope that's it. And so I went through the day, no further pain, went to the bathroom a few more times that day, the next day, no problem. No blood, no. So you're just like, okay, I'm gonna just log that away mentally. Well, of course, you know how moving can be. You're unpacking stuff. You don't know where the grocery stores are yet. You're not settled in. We had 3 young children at the time, so stuff is just kind of chaotic. And my wife had a bit of a medical emergency herself, so we're on the way to Johns Hopkins so that she can go see a specialist and kind of diagnose what's going on with her. And so there's a lot of anxiety. Our house is a wreck. Kids are unsettled. Everything is, GPS, and you're just kind of. So all of that to say, she brings up this whatever it is she's anxious about, and I snap. And I ain't snap as in I drove off the road. I just got angry. And I just said, man, we all got stuff going on. Like we figure it out. We do what we got to do. And in all of that commotion, I let it slip that I had blood in my urine. So I'm listing off all the things that I've got to deal with to kind of let her know, yo, we're all dealing with stuff. Like, so just deal. But my wife she's a nurse. So she heard that and she, oh, wait, what was that about this blood in the urine? Oh, it ain't nothing. But see what I'm saying? I got to deal with it. She said, nah, you got to go to the doctor, my man. Like, you can't let that slide. It's been a few days. And so I go to the doctor, maybe a day or two later, urgent care. Go to urgent care. They do the vitals, everything. I don't know what it could be. I'm thinking I'm past it. Maybe they might give me some antibiotics. It might be a urinary tract infection or something, but I ain't had no pain, so I'm good. They do the vitals, sit you into the room. And I'm waiting in there. And you know how you got to wait for the doctor to kind of arrive. And so I'm sitting there. I already hate the doctor. I already know my blood pressure is going to be elevated. I already know, like, she's going to give me a little speech about that. And I'm like, I don't like doctors, so I don't want to be here. We just moved here. So she comes into the room, Mike, and stands by the door and never approaches me. We've all been to the doctor enough times to know that there's a protocol. They're going to walk in, they're going to put the gloves on, and then they're going to check your ears, your eyes. I'm a new patient. This is my first time ever being seen. So and then she's going to do her little evaluation, check my heart and all this. And then she's going to sit down and ask me a few follow-up. Why are you here and all this? Well, we never did any of that. She just stood by the door. And she says, Mr. Mitchell, how do you feel? I said, I feel fine. And I did. I felt completely fine. All that to say, you sure? Yeah. You have a chest pain, shortness of breath? No. Okay. And then she slips out the door. Now I'm nervous. She slips back in, stands by the door, doesn't even move her back off the door. Like, she doesn't even come towards me. I'm thinking, what, do I got smallpox or something? Like, what's happening? And she says, Mr. Mitchell, are you sure you're fine? I said, yeah, absolutely, I'm fine. Now I got beads of sweat. My palms are sweaty. She's like, well, you look like you're getting... I said, yeah, because you're acting kind of weird. You're not doing the thing. And she said, Mr. Mitchell, I got to be honest with you. I've never seen somebody with a blood pressure as high as yours. She said, I've just never seen this. I said, well, what is it? Like, I know I got, high blood pressure or whatever. I'm a little nervous about being here. I don't want to be here. She said, no, Mr. Mitchell, I've never seen this as a doctor. So, well, what is it? And it was something like 210, 220 over 100, 110, something crazy. So I didn't know blood pressures can go that high, if I'm honest with you. I didn't know that was a thing. So it's serious. So she says, Mr. Mitchell, you're such a high risk right now of having a stroke. I'm a little anxious. So she says, I need you to go to the hospital right away. I said, hospital right away? I'm thinking, if you go to the hospital right now, you promise to go to the hospital? I said, yeah, I promise to go to the hospital. Now, behind my back, I'm not going to nobody's hospital. If you let me out of here, lady, I'm going home. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to rest. You know how folks from the hood can be, man. We think ginger ale solves it all. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, take it, rest a little bit, drink some ginger ale, you be cool. And so she's like, okay, you promise to go to the hospital. And I'm a pastor. I'm lying through my teeth. I'm not going to the hospital if she lets me out of this room. And so she leaves, comes back again. She said, Mr. Mitchell, you sure you're going to go to the hospital right away? I said, yeah. I'm going to the hospital. Where is it? Just tell me where it is. I don't even know where the hospital is. She goes, you know what? I'm so nervous. I don't think you'll make it to the hospital, and I'd be liable if I let you out of here and you have a stroke, have an accident. So I've had my people call the ambulance, and they're on their way. You know, come on, man. Golly, the ambulance. So sure enough, the ambulance shows up, and I'm doing everything I can to preserve my pride at this point. And I mean, they're coming in with the gurney into this little urgent care. It's little narrow hallways, and I said, guys, please, please, please. I feel okay. Can I at least walk to the ambulance? Please, please. Don't strap
First,
me
you're like
down just to
6'4",
yeah.
and tell me these paramedics were 5'2", 5'4".
Please, please. Can I just walk out of here? You know what I mean? Please don't make me walk out of here in front of these people, man. You know, like I'm just and so of course, internally, you can imagine what's happening. Now, I haven't shared. My dad died when I was 13. My mom died when I was 21. You know, my wife has a chronic illness, right? So my sense of mortality is already very fragile because I know from one moment to the next, your life can be drastically different or you not be here at all. So I'm like, man, I got to get in this ambulance. So I get in the ambulance. And of course, as we're riding, I got to ask the paramedic, what hospital are we going to? We just moved here. I got to call, my the guy who moved to town with me. I got to call him and tell him, hey, I know we had a 1 o'clock meeting, but I'm on my way to the hospital. You're on the way to the hospital? What happened? What are you doing? What? You got an accident? I'm like, bro, I don't even know. I'm just in the ambulance. What ambulance? What hospital? I got to call my wife. Hey, babe, you sent me to the doctor. Now I'm on my way to the hospital. And we get there. It takes them 12 hours to drop my blood pressure to a reasonable level. And then I end up in the hospital for 5 days. And so that was when I got diagnosed with stage 4 kidney disease. And so that was one of my worst days right there.
Wow, that's crazy. And so that was what year?
That was January, February 2017. Mm-hmm.
So we're 7 years later. What have been some of the emotions and thoughts and processes you've gone through over the last 7 years with this whole thing? Maybe just highlight some at the very beginning, some in the middle, and some of the things you're going through now.
Yeah, on the top end, when you're in that situation, you're in the back of an ambulance, unexpected, or a doctor tells you your blood pressure is sky high, or me calling my wife to tell her I'm on the way to the hospital. The fear that you're feeling is indescribable because of the unknown. I don't even know what's happening. I didn't have a headache. I didn't have chest pain. I didn't have shortness of breath. I was literally just living life.
Right.
Only reason I'm here is because I saw blood in my urine.
Right.
So so you're talking about a level of fear and uncertainty coupled with the fact that I moved to Baltimore in order to start a church. And so here we haven't announced anything. We haven't said anything. There's boxes still in my house and my life is on the line. And not only is my life on the line, but my wife, my kids, that sense of fragility is palpable in that moment. So yeah, so you got that. You get the diagnosis. Now you got a little bit more clarity. What's the prognosis? You probably got 2 to 3 years, Mr. Mitchell. You're at 35% kidney function. You're either going to end up on dialysis or you're going to need a transplant. And with your weight and your size and all of these things, it's probably likely you're going to be on dialysis for a while and all this kind of stuff. And we know enough people that have been diabetic or whatever. They've had to go through that process. It's a life-altering thing. And I was in my 30s at the time. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, like my whole life is upended now, and now there's a clock on your head too, because you're just like, man, when? And so over the course of all these years, every time I would go to the doctor from then on, I would have a level of anxiety that increased as each day got closer to my appointments because I'm nervous that my kidney function has dropped below a certain threshold, that then they would rush me to the hospital and then I'm on dialysis or whatever. So there's always been this fluctuating anxiety around this thing. Then, as a father, you're like, oh man, my life is already cut short with my kids. I'm in a foreign place. Like, I don't have as many relationships. I don't have that sense of ecosystem. Those people, I've had to talk with my therapist about, there's moments where you miss your mom.
Yeah.
And he said it took me a long while to even be able to verbalize that. That's what I wanted, because wives hold a certain space in their lives, children, friends, but your mother is just there for you. This is her job. Take care of her baby.
Yep.
And when mom is not there, even as an adult male, you need somebody that can not logically process with you, not you're comforting because you're trying to lower their fears or anxieties with your kids or whatever, colleagues. But you want somebody there for you that's dedicated to just being there to comfort your internal person. And no, we're Christians. We believe in Jesus. Jesus is there. I get all that. But you want that person in the room that's just like, here, I'm here with you, and you ain't got to worry. I'm gonna advocate for you, whatever. So that's been some of those feelings that have come along. It's kicked up grief, sadness, disappointment with God at moments because you're like, man, this ain't fair. I feel like I've gone through enough. Like, what else I got to go through? So all of these things have get churned up in this situation over the last 7 years.
That's phenomenal. What's been some of the things that has and are helping you go through this?
Well, praise God, I got a transplant. So we just celebrated a year on March 29th. So
Yes.
praise God for that. Huge miracle and all of that. But what has been a big thing for me is to be able to have people and spaces where I'm able to process this stuff in real time rather than it being delayed. So in my life, when I lost my dad at 13, you don't have the words necessarily to process that kind of loss. I don't care if your dad wasn't there or you lose him in death like I did or whatever. We don't have the words at a young age to be able to articulate that sense of loss.
Right.
So you just cope. You figure out how to cope. Whatever it comes out in bad behavior or whatever, obsessive behavior, whatever, all kinds of stuff. When my mom dies as an adult, I was the point man, and so I didn't really get room to grieve and to process all these emotions of loss and what I'm an orphan essentially. What does it feel like to be an orphan and take responsibility for other people, but also be strong and lead and all that. But this time, I wanted to do it differently. And so I was able to kind of process more in real time those types of things. Obviously, faith is a huge pillar of that because it's like I know God walks with me through the shadow of death and I should fear no evil because he's with me. That's an anchoring kind of um, role that Christ plays in our life.
Yep.
But relationally, I've had to just be open about the anxiety, the stress, the fear, the uncertainty, um, and process that. And then being able to just kind of build rhythms in to kind of offset some of those feelings that come and go because they're with you. It's my body that I'm nervous about at times. So you're just like, yo, you need some rhythms in your life. Whether it's going on walks, me and you used to go for walks and process. I still do my daily walks, all that. You need some rhythms that help you to get this stuff out, process it, think at a bigger scale, travel, or whatever it is. to kind of help you to reorient at a consistent base. I need to consistently reorient
Right.
because it can be easy to kind of go, my body's my enemy and it's going to betray me. Nah, it's like, no, let's invest in this. Let's partner with our body, and we're going to have to do some new things that you're probably not used to or comfortable with.
Yeah. I still remember that one walk we went on, and I said, "You ever thought about what you're going through as a disability?" I was like, "Boy, he gonna knock me into this creek. I'm gonna be floating down Baltimore City, end up in the bay. Be another
Yeah,
statistic." Yeah.
yeah, man, that was a huge conversation because I think we see ourselves as wounded, whether internally or especially when it comes to health stuff. We'll see ourselves as wounded, but you know how we do with wounds: put some ice on it.
Right.
Man up.
Right.
And so deal with it. We'll say things like that to kind of diminish the limitations that come with whatever's going on. For you to say, have you ever thought about this like a disability, reframes that entire conversation because it goes, I have limitations. I cannot function like somebody with two fully working kidneys
Yep.
that aren't even thinking about this.
Yep.
There's a level of baggage and sensitivity and awareness that I have to have, just like a different person with maybe a physical or a prominent or visible disability. Somebody that's blind, somebody can't walk, somebody can't. You see, oh, they've got to really think about how they're going to navigate the world. Well, when you've got kidney damage like I did, for stage 4 kidney disease, you can't just eat whatever. You can't just drink whatever. You can't just be in environments that could cause you to get sick, to be vulnerable to all kinds of different viruses. And you can't just go in the woods there's all kinds of things I had in my mind that you're constantly running through. So when you said that, it helped to kind of lower the pressure I felt to stay strong. Oh yeah, no, we got this, we gonna take it. And it's like, no, it gives me room to say, hey, I can't do that because of where I am right now, because of what's happening with me right now. And that even gave me room to have conversation with people about it. Because I hadn't even hardly told anybody that I had kidney disease.
So we were just talking about your new book, From Nice to Known.
That's right.
And it made me think about that when the nice guy has a disability or a limitation, that's like his or her worst nightmare, right?
That's right.
Because it's like, well, if something's wrong with me, then I can't be nice and I can't serve people. So it's such a proneness for us who have a predisposition towards serving and being other oriented to diminish our disabilities and our hurts and pains because we view them as obstacles that get in the way of us helping other people.
That's right.
And they're obstacles to us getting the rewards we get from helping other people. And so, yeah, that's key. So, what have you learned about yourself through all this? What's one or two things you've learned about yourself through?
Yeah, the big one is you're more resilient than you think. Like a lot of times um, we'll think about worst case scenarios, and I hear a lot of people say, "Well, man, if what happened to you happened to me, I don't know what I would do." Nobody does, but you have the capacity to handle it. And so that's something where I've gone, okay, Charlie, yeah, we've got to go through some hard things. And it's like today I had to go and do blood work. I hate needles, hate them,
I hate them too.
but you get in there, and I go, Charlie, we can handle this. We've done this before. We walked this road, and God has been faithful back then. He'll be faithful now, but you have weathered these things, and so it's all right. Let's go through it, step by step. And so that's one thing I try to help people to understand is like, yeah, you're way more resilient than you think. And there's things that are coming that you're probably not going to be aware of. The second thing I would say is I am aware of my needs more. And the mask of niceness would have me believe that I'm invincible because that's the picture you want to portray.
Yeah.
And so, but even when we look at superheroes, I don't care, pick which one, they've all got a vulnerability. They've all got a limitation. Superman, you put him in the dark for too long, he loses it. He don't even need kryptonite. He just needs darkness and he loses it, right?
Mm.
And so there's limitations on all of us, but now being able to embrace it and just go, hey, this is what I got. I ain't got much else. Like I can't say it. And so I'm happy to have seen those things and just be like, yeah, I'm not superhuman. Yeah, I got limitations. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go there. You know what I mean? I don't have to participate because I've got some things I got to take care of on my end.
Right. So, what's one thing you wish people knew about your worst day that they may not know?
Yeah, that's a good question. What's one thing I wish people knew about my worst day?
Yeah, that they probably wouldn't know unless you told them.
Mm,
Because what happens on our worst days is we go into survival mode. And part of survival mode is reining in everything to protect ourselves, right? And so the things we're experiencing, we often don't communicate all of them. But one of the benefits is once we have gone through our worst days is communicating those things, because what happens, as you know, is when you're in the moment of your worst day, isolation is king. Loneliness is king. Feeling like no one else is going through this, nobody understands. What am I going to do? I'm cut off, limitations. You're losing everything. I'm going to die. I'm losing my wife. I'm losing my kids. I'm losing my ministry. I'm going to lose my friends. And you're experiencing all this. And then what happens when we get on the other side of it, sometimes, not with you. This is one of the reasons why I do this podcast, because sometimes what we do is we tell these triumphant stories. And it's like,
and it's all clean. Yeah.
right, but it's like, no, 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 no. Before you got to the mountaintop, you were at the bottom and you quit 1,000 times. And halfway up, you turned around and went back. And then you fell down and broke a leg. Like, I want to hear about that, because that's
right.
real. You
That's
know what I'm
right.
saying? That's
That's right.
inspiring, that's encouraging, and that equips me to go, like you said, be resilient.
Yeah, and that I think you bring up what I. It took me years to be able to say it, and I shared it about my mom. It would be years later when I was having to get my heart. They had to do a catheter to my heart to see if I would be able to handle the surgery for transplant. That was 4 or 5 years later. But there was a moment when I was in the ambulance and I had to call. In the moment when I'm having to call, there's two things going on. I'm trying to protect the people that I love. That's the one thing going on. And so I'm trying to play it cool. But at the same time, I want somebody to come rescue me. I want somebody to hurry up and lean in and be there when I get there. So that call to my wife, to go, hey, babe, and I'm playing it cool. I just want somebody, it's going to be fine. My blood pressure's high, but they're taking me in to get it lower. I'm saying it cool, but I'm wanting her to say, I'm in the car now and I'm headed your way. You know what I'm saying? And she eventually got there that day or whatever. But
Yeah.
it wasn't until 5 years later, it might have been even further, it might have been 6 years later, that I said, man, when I go to these doctor's appointments, I'd really like somebody to go with me.
Mm.
Because you go by yourself. You're grown, you're an adult. You know what I mean? You're not going under the knife today. Like you,
Right.
you just talking to, I just want somebody to sit in the room with me, waiting room with me, so I don't have to drum up the mental stamina
Right.
to walk into these sterilized places by myself.
Right.
And so it's interesting because I've got a cousin who's wrestling with some cancer right now. And I told him he's down in Florida. He called me and said, "Man, I think you're probably one of the only people that can relate to what I'm feeling, da 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 da." And I told him, "Hey, when you're headed into the doctor's office, give me a call. If anything, just text me and say, 'Hey, I'm walking into the hospital right now to meet with my doctor.'" I said, "If I don't pick up or call you right back, I'll at least text you and say, 'Man, I'm with you.'" Because I know that feeling of walking into those places and not having somebody that's just, do anybody care that your boy is in here just watching the clock tick? You know what I mean? And what is this doctor gonna say? So yeah, that's what I wish people knew, is if you get that kind of call, hurry up and get there as close as soon as you can.
Yeah, be present. So, as we wrap up, somebody's going to listen to this and they're going to be going through their worst day. What do you want to say to them?
What what I would say is, we're here now. Let's take it one moment at a time. Do not go down through all the scenarios that could be going through your mind right now. All of those are rabbit trails, and we don't know how they're going to end up. But let's take this one moment at a time. Anxiety comes when we're forecasting what we think will happen. And on our worst day, we're forecasting all the worst things. And what you need is just, hey, the next time the doctor comes, or next time I have a meeting, or next situation, like I'm just taking this hour by hour, 30 minute by 30 minute, whatever it is, I'm just taking one step at a time, and I'm not rushing to next week, next month, next year, because we don't know yet. We don't know
Yeah,
yet. And so that's my encouragement.
that's great. Well, as always, thanks for being vulnerable. Thanks for sharing. And I'm sure this is going to bless somebody because we know there's no accidents in life.
That's right.
And that's why we do this, to inspire, equip, and encourage you on your worst day. Grace and peace.
Absolutely.